When a boy reaches puberty, his mother will chastise him to protect him from any hand-to-penis contact and prepare him for the submissive roles he will play in the future. Once they have found a partner, their woman will keep the chastity key and, as a result, they will retain their freedom. Schools will have separate facilities for boys and girls to ensure that the former do not impede the latter's capacity for rapid and in-depth knowledge acquisition. The education provided at schools for girls will emphasize accelerated study programs that will enable students to earn a degree in a shorter amount of time and better prepare them for working in the business world. It doesn't matter how much we try to bury it or make it disappear. Female-led relationships, female supremacy, and matriarchy are constantly rising to the surface. In the not-too-distant future, they will take control of our society. In my opinion, this is a good analogy for the growth and force of these concepts. According to figures released by the government of the United Kingdom in 2006, all of the warning signs are present. The ratio of newly qualified female teachers to freshly qualified male teachers under the age of 25 was approaching 7-1. It is believed that the implementation of coursework and modular exams plays to the strengths that are traditionally associated with females. According to a report published in June 2009 by the United Kingdom, women have been enrolling in higher numbers at universities than men. The participation rate for young women is currently at 49%. Compared to 38% for young men. And the overall picture shows a consistent trend in women substantially outnumbering men in higher education. Women now outnumber men, and the gap is widening. The number of degrees given to men is on the decline, while the number assigned to women is on the rise. And both trends are occurring rapidly. When it comes to degree grades, women have a better chance of earning good degrees, which is defined as a combination of the first class and upper second class, whereas men have a better chance of making lower second and third class grades. In point of fact, one of the most fascinating aspects of the evidence is that boys' educational achievement is actually declining at the same time that girls' academic accomplishments are reaching new heights. The National Center for Education Statistics in the United States projects that in 2017, half again as many women as men will earn bachelor's degrees. This will take place in the United States. At the beginning of the 1990s, there were 6 women for every 5 men who graduated from college. Today, that ratio is closer to 4 women for every 3 men. According to the current trends, in 10 years, it will be 3-2 and continue to rise. This is not only the case in the developed countries and regions of the Western world, but also elsewhere. Why is this? There are several reasons really. Females tend to be more methodical while boys tend to follow high-risk strategies such as cramming the night before an exam. Females apply themselves much better to tasks, challenge their lecturers more, and have much higher morals. Female brains work in different ways to retain information and increase their intelligence than male brains do. Females understand concepts and ideas much more quickly and faster than males do. The sheer pressure of numbers has the apparent consequence that it is only a matter of time before hierarchical professions such as medicine and law are predominantly filled by women. And this is most definitely for the better, as a result of the recent downturn in the economy, which places an even higher premium on good degrees in the jobs marketplace. More women can launch careers that can go all the way to the top. This growth is accelerating at an even greater rate than it did before, considering that it is inevitable that future female leaders will eventually dismantle male-dominated networks, which cling to power. This will happen, but the future of female supremacy has already arrived, as women have already secured more senior roles, particularly in the fields of law and medicine and senior management positions at companies. According to an article published in the Chicago Tribune, the change in the medical profession has been rapid and dramatic. Since 1975, the proportion of female doctors has increased from 9% to 25%, representing a nearly threefold increase. And this trend isn't even close to reaching its peak. Only 38% of doctors under the age of 44 are female, but 50% of medical school students in the United States are female, change that is anticipated to become more pronounced. The rising number of female millionaires is further evidence of women's ascending social status. These women are outsmarting and outturning men in the business world thanks to their higher levels of education and superior business acumen. According to recent findings from research, an increasing number of women are starting their own businesses and amassing fortunes that span multiple millions of pounds. According to a report published in 2006 by the Daily Mail in the United Kingdom, for the first time ever, approximately 1 in 4 of the people who appear on the annual list of top 100 entrepreneurs are women. When the list was first compiled in 2004, there were 25% fewer women than there are now. Management Today is the publication that collects and publishes the list annually. If this pattern continues, women are well on their way to surpassing men in becoming the most successful business owners in the country over the next few years, according to official figures provided by the Office for National Statistics. More than 1 million women in the United Kingdom are running their own businesses, according to a report published by the Daily Reckoning in 2007. Women make up almost half of the millionaires in the UK for the first time ever. The fact that the number is increasing at a rate of 11% annually, which means that women will soon outnumber men within a relatively short period, makes the statistic so shocking, according to a survey that will be published on Monday by Babson College's Center for Women's Leadership and the Commonwealth Institute. In the United States, a recent study of businesses in the state of Massachusetts found that 42% of the 237 companies in the survey, of which 100 were run by women, expanded by more than 5%, easily outpacing the overall economy. The study was conducted on businesses in Massachusetts, according to Aileen Gorman, executive director of the nonprofit institute that advises women in business. This tells me that these women are employing very good management skills, given the questionable economy over the last 2 years. The following quote from one of Page articles is illustrative of this point. Roughly speaking, around the year 2010, things in the workplace started to change. There has been a shift in culture at many different companies, from the very large to the very small. It is becoming increasingly common to tell men to step down the corporate ladder to make way for female executives. When a woman was promoted to a management position over him, a recent client told me he experienced a strange feeling of being marginalized. He felt this way because he was passed over for the promotion. This pattern emerged in the early 1990s, and its momentum has picked up considerably in the years since then. Many people have been experiencing this pattern for quite some time, but many still refuse to acknowledge what has happened after spending decades climbing the corporate ladder. Seeing their positions diminished and their pay cut can be a difficult pill to swallow for former He-Men and Masters of the Universe members. Having said that, it is a fact. The takeaway here is that men had better get better at being flexible. It can be challenging to find one's way around this murky and unfamiliar landscape. The previous summer, I had a conversation with a male executive who told me that he had been devastated when he was demoted and his job was given to a younger female employee. He was able to keep his salary of $125,000 until January was over. During his outplacement session, he realized it for the first time. It was time for him to move on, and he had to come to terms with the fact that things had evolved. Another one of my male clients in the banking industry received the dreaded pink slip at the beginning of 2005. This client had made it through a bewildering series of mergers and restructurings without losing his job. His much younger female boss communicated the information via a phone call from Los Angeles. He relayed to me that she had told him that he did not understand his role, that he needed to collaborate more, and that he needed to pick up and move on with his life. It is not unusual in today's society to have a woman in a position of authority within an organization. Women are beginning to feel comfortable enough to use their natural management style, which tends to be more communicative, relationship-oriented, and team-building in nature. This is due to a more progressive approach to diversity and a more significant number of women helming organizations. Women outperform men in terms of their verbal aptitude and comprehension, and they also have a higher level of emotional and spiritual intelligence. Because of this, women may have the ability to be better bosses than men do. There is a distinct difference in the kind of leader a female boss is compared to her male counterpart. Because they don't speak the same language, men often feel intimidated by female coworkers or bosses. This is because men are afraid that they might say the wrong thing or the right thing in the wrong way. This is especially true in situations where a woman is in charge of making decisions. As the world progresses toward a society dominated by women, we are rapidly approaching a tipping point where an increasing number of women will hold positions traditionally reserved for men. In July of 2009, at a recent power lunch in Washington with female lawmakers, the accounting giant Ernst & Young brought out charts and graphs to argue a provocative bottom line. Companies with more women in senior management roles make more money, according to the studies that Ernst & Young compiled. Women can be the difference between economic success and failure in developing countries, between good and bad decision-making in industrialized countries, and between profit and loss in the business world. They concluded that more senior women in American companies would be beneficial, and it is not just one study, but at least half a dozen, coming from a diverse range of organizations such as Columbia University, McKinsey & Co., Goldman Sachs, and Pepperdine University. That document a clear relationship between the presence of women in senior management positions and the financial success of corporations. Better performance can be expected if a business has a higher proportion of female employees. According to research conducted by Pepperdine University, Fortune 500 companies that have a history of successfully promoting women to executive positions have 69% higher profits than the median company in their respective industries. Research conducted by McKinsey on the most successful publicly traded companies in Europe revealed a correlation between greater gender diversity in management and above-average stock performance. Although gender stereotypes aren't politically correct, a general conclusion drawn from the research is that testosterone can make men more likely to engage in risky behaviors in competition. On the other hand, women appear to have wiring that favors teamwork, caution, and the achievement of long-term goals. According to a study of fund managers conducted over 30 years and published by the National Council for Research on Women just last month, female investors and professional money managers used more measured strategies. They didn't put themselves in dangerous situations, but they also didn't suffer significant setbacks. Their performance was reliable overall. Men generally took more significant risks, which resulted in more variable outcomes. According to the findings of a study conducted by the French Fund Association, funds directed by women have produced more stable returns when measured over periods of 1, 3, and 5 years. Women are taking on more senior management roles and filling a significantly increased number of board positions in today's business world. For example, Norway met its goal of having women fill 40% of board positions by 2009. It is also the reason why Iceland, after its embarrassing financial mess, put significant banks and its government in the hands of females. And it is also the reason why Hermes, the only French company to outperform expectations during the recession, also has, you guessed it, a management structure that is dominated by women. All of this is resulting in increased remuneration for women. In November 2007, Reuters reported that female directors in corporate America earn median compensation of $120,000 based on the most recently available pay data. This is in comparison to $104,375 for male board members. According to the annual director pay report published by research group The Corporate Library, whereas in the most recent job downturn, a full 82% of job losses have been falling men, who are heavily represented in distressed industries like manufacturing and construction. The industry has noticed a rise in incompetency, education, skill sets, and intelligence of women. This is because women tend to be more intelligent than men, according to Heather Bauschy, a senior economist at the Center for American Progress. Given how severe and concentrated the job losses are among men, and that women represented a high proportion of the labor force at the beginning of this recession, women are now bearing the opportunity of being breadwinners. Given how stark and concentrated the job losses are among men, and that women represented a high proportion of the labor force at the beginning of this recession, the current recession, dominated by layoffs of men, is expected to deepen and last for a more extended period. This will have an impact not only on household budgets, but also on government spending habits. It will also challenge long-standing gender roles, which will prove to be irreversible given women's increasing education levels. Moving into political roles and governing countries is the next logical step for women after achieving senior leadership positions in various fields, including law, medicine, business, and boards of directors. This shift has already begun in earnest in several nations around the world. The advantages of female preeminence and matriarchy are innumerable. The sooner women and men who can see into the future and comprehend the direction in which all of this is moving can bring it about, the better things will be for everyone. Additional evidence demonstrates that the time is much closer than we think. Take, for example, the patriarch system in Japan, which in 2008 was the subject of shocking reports that showed almost half of Japanese men urinated while sitting down in their toilets at home rather than standing to piddle as is customary among males. Matsushita Electric Works conducted a survey of Japanese men in their 30 seconds to 50 seconds and found that 49% sit down to urinate. This represents a staggering threefold increase from the 15% of respondents who reported the same proclivity in 1999 when the company first conducted the poll. According to a Matsushita report from 2004, a 2004 survey showed a growing tendency for Japanese men to sit while urinating. Sunday's Mainichi newspaper was told by a spokesman for Electric Works, as a direct response to that, In 2006, our company introduced the largest toilet seats available on the market. These seats make it much simpler and more comfortable for men to sit down and relieve themselves. This demonstrates that businesses are now producing goods that support the growing feminization of men as a reaction to the increasing superiority of women. This is happening as a result of the rising gap between the sexes. This was demonstrated once more in Japan in late 2009 when bras for men were released and almost immediately became a popular item to purchase. According to a report conducted in the United Kingdom in 2008, men discovered that their libidos are in free fall, which prompted a 40% increase in the number of males seeking counseling for impotence problems. Men are definitely feeling the pressure. The realization that British men have the most unequal paternity rights in Europe contributed to worsening the existential angst that they already felt. In the United Kingdom, the presence of a father is considered to be not essential for parenting. As stated by Nicola Brewer, Chief Executive of the Equality and Human Rights Commission, the same month saw the publication of a medical study that proved the quality of men's sperm decreases to such an extent after they hit 45 that the chances of a partner's miscarriage are doubled. The study was done to prove that men's sperm directly correlates to a partner's inability to carry a pregnancy to term. Therefore, it should not surprise me to learn that men are responsible for 75% of suicides. They have a 10-year head start on women in terms of the average age at which they are diagnosed with heart disease and have a mortality rate 2 times higher than that of women for the 10 most common cancers that strike both men and women. According to a report published by Reuters in 2005, Chinese tourism authorities are seeking investment to build the world's first women's town.